Hey, it's Mike Zawadzki coming to you from Unique Photo. We just got in the new Nikon D3100, and I want to tell you about some of the features, what I like, what I don't like about the camera, and who I recommend it for. Now, if you remember the legendary D40X, D60, or D3000, all those models are very similar, and in fact, they all use the same 10 megapixel CCD sensor. So it's time for Nikon to really step up and do something with their new entry-level camera. Let's see what they did with the D3100. Now, the first thing you'll notice is the design is a little bit more sleek and ergonomic. Even someone with bigger hands, it fits nicely. And you'll notice on the back, there's a switch here. And what that does is it activates live view, and the button in the middle will start recording. On the top, there's a new lever for picking your drive mode: single, continuous, self-timer, and quiet mode. And on the side, you'll see typical ports: USB, AV out, there's HDMI now, but there's still no microphone jack. You'll see for some reason they decided it was important to put a GPS jack on here, but this is their first camera with 1080p video, but they didn't put a microphone jack on it. And granted, it's an entry-level camera, but that baffles me. Now, besides the physical features, what are the image quality and functionality features of this camera that I really like? Well, as I mentioned before, the three predecessors to the D3100 all use the same 10 megapixel CCD sensor. So in the D3100, Nikon used an all-new 14.2 megapixel Cmos sensor. They also added 1080p HD video recording at 24 frames per second, 720p recording at 24, 25, or 30 frames per second, and of course standard VGA recording. Now, there's also a new autofocus system. It's 11 autofocus points spread out throughout the viewfinder so you get more coverage. And I've learned that that really helps when you're doing vertical shooting. And also, when you're doing vertical shooting, you see here you have your info screen, and when you rotate the camera vertical, the info screen flips as well. Now, during live view, you have continuous autofocus, which is a brand new feature on any DSLR. It's the only DSLR right now that can do continuous autofocus. Now, you might know about the Sony SLT A33 or A55. Those do continuous autofocus as well, but they're not reflex mirrors. They're translucent, so technically they're not SLRs, but they do continuous autofocus a little bit better than the D3100 because the light just goes right through their mirror. But so far, for an SLR, this is the best live view autofocus and video autofocus that we've had to date. Now, another one of the new features on the D3100 is the function button. It's right below the button that activates the pop-up flash. See right here, it's function. Out of the box, that's programmed to change the ISO for you, but you can make it do other things as well. Now, the last time we did a video on a camera, people complained that we didn't use the actual camera to do the video with. So this time, we only have one D3100, but we'll also be doing a video later on the Canon 60D. So we decided to film this video with the 60D and the next video with the D3100 so you can see the quality of both. And right now, here's a little bit of video from the D3100 itself. You can see the 60D in the shot, and there's Eddie. So what do I like about the D3100? Well, for one, it's a camera for photographers. Nikon, instead of just taking another model and gutting everything out of it, they actually made an entry-level camera that's comfortable to hold, has enough switches on it so you spend less time digging through the menus and more time shooting. And finally, there's a Cmos sensor, like I said, in their entry-level model. Finally, there's 1080p video. You can shoot at ISO 3200, and it looks relatively clean. The files I looked at look at least comparable to my D300S. Now, I'm not expecting 12,800 ISO to look good, and that is the ISO setting that you can put it up to on what they call high 2. But it's there, and if you want a photojournalistic look, black and white, it's usable. The AF system is also something I really like. They spread the points out. It's one of my biggest complaints about SLR focusing system is all those points are usually jammed right in the middle of the viewfinder. What good is having all those points if they're all going to be crammed in the middle? Having them spread out a little bit more is nice. Focuses fast, seems to focus well in low light. And there's also 3D tracking, which is a feature that used to only be in some of the higher end models. All this being said, another positive is I wonder what Nikon's going to do with the D5000 replacement. If they put this many features into their most basic entry-level model, what are they going to do with the D5100 if that's what they decide to call it? Now, some of the things I don't like about the D3100. First of all, while the LCD screen is 3 inches, it's still the same low resolution 230K dot resolution screen of the D3000. If you're going to make this your first 1080p HD SLR camera, put a decent screen on it. People are going to want to use accessories like a hood loop or a Zacuto Z finder. You know, put a decent screen on it. That's my opinion. Again, along the same lines, as your first 1080p HD SLR camera, put a microphone jack on it. How much money would it really cost Nikon to put a microphone jack in this camera? Now, granted, I mentioned the D5000 replacement possibly coming this spring or next summer. They'll probably put a microphone jack on that and use it as a selling point. Now, the AFF feature I talked about before, that's continuous focus during live view. It's a nice feature. It works fairly well in good light, but with this kit lens, the 18-55 VR, it struggles a little bit and it'll search back and forth, and it's really only so-so. I think with a faster lens, maybe like a 35mm 1.8 DX, it'll work a little smoother and also make a little bit less noise. Who do I recommend this camera for? Well, if you're buying your first digital SLR, this is an excellent choice. It has Nikon's latest technology, and even though it doesn't have as many dials and buttons and build quality as some of their higher end models, the technology in this camera is first rate. If you're looking to upgrade from an older entry level such as a D40, a D60, or even a D3000, which is not that old of a camera, this is a huge step up. If you have a camera such as the D90, well, you might want to wait for the Nikon D7000 to come out, and we'll take a look at that next time.